perfect 90-degree corners, like 100-ton granite boxes. They're insane.
Beneath the sands of Egypt, a terrifying secret waits. Massive granite boxes over 200 tons each, carved with inhuman precision and buried deep in Saqqara's underground labyrinth. Their surfaces bear strange inscriptions that clash with their flawless craftsmanship, sparking theories of lost civilizations or even otherworldly involvement. Transported from quarries hundreds of miles away, shaped and placed with techniques we can't explain, these boxes defy logic. Who built them and why? Are they relics of an ancient advanced race or evidence of something far more sinister? This is Egypt's most shocking and unexplained secret. Let's discover. Overview of the Serapeum granite boxes. Discovered in 1850 by French Egyptologist Auguste Mariette, the Serapeum of Saqqara is an underground necropolis unlike anything else on Earth, hidden beneath the desert sands near Cairo. This vast, labyrinthine network of tunnels and alcoves stretches deep beneath the earth, and hidden within its walls are some of the most mysterious artifacts the world has ever seen. 24 massive granite boxes, each weighing up to 100 tons and carved with mind-blowing precision. Their corners are perfect, their walls polished like mirrors, and their purpose still unknown. Why would the ancient Egyptians create these engineering marvels, and what secrets lie within them that make this Egypt's biggest mystery? What's more, recent research has uncovered traces of strange, unidentifiable substances inside, fueling speculation that these boxes weren't made for ordinary remains, and maybe not even by human hands. These granite boxes are far more than massive slabs of rock. Carved with astonishing precision, these boxes weigh between 70 to 100 tons. Imagine trying to lift 40 SUVs stacked together. They're so meticulously crafted that their corners form perfect 90-degree angles, and their inner walls are polished to a mirror-like sheen that reflects light even today, thousands of years after their creation. Examining them up close, experts have noted that the boxes are geometrically perfect, with near-microscopic deviations that modern tools would struggle to replicate. The dimensions of the walls are precise within thousandths of an inch, a deviation so minor it's almost undetectable to the human eye. And as experts measure and analyze, the question looms: how did an ancient civilization, working with tools made from copper and stone, achieve this almost mechanical precision? Traditional theories suggest that these granite boxes served as sarcophagi for the Apis bulls, creatures considered sacred by the ancient Egyptians. Apis bulls held a unique place in the religious beliefs of the time, seen as earthly representations of the god Ptah, a deity associated with creation and strength. According to Egyptian mythology, each Apis bull was believed to embody Ptah's divine power, making these animals central figures in spiritual ceremonies. When an Apis bull died, it would receive an elaborate burial, similar in grandeur to that of royalty. This reverence for the Apis bulls led Egyptologists to theorize that the grand, complex Serapeum was built as a final resting place for these animals. But this is where the mystery deepens. The sheer scale of these granite boxes and the extraordinary craftsmanship required to create them seem excessive, even by ancient Egyptian standards, for animal burials. Why would the Egyptians, renowned for practical approaches to monumental architecture, have gone to such extremes to honor deceased bulls? The Serapeum's vast tunnels, paired with the near-perfect geometry of the boxes, suggest an obsession with precision and permanence that hints at a purpose beyond funerary use. Were the Egyptians simply honoring their sacred bulls, or was there more to these enormous, flawlessly crafted stone boxes? But recent findings hint at something even stranger: substances inside the boxes that don't seem to match anything from the ancient Egyptian world. As if the design and scale weren't curious enough, the choice of granite as the primary material for these boxes adds another layer of intrigue. Granite is one of the hardest stones on Earth, incredibly durable but notoriously difficult to work with, even using modern equipment. Carving a box from a single block of granite would be no small feat today, let alone thousands of years ago with the limited tools available to the Egyptians. And it wasn't just any granite that was used. These blocks were sourced from quarries hundreds of miles away in Aswan and even farther in Egypt's eastern deserts. Transporting these massive stones over hundreds of miles, then lowering them into tight underground corridors and placing them with such precision is a logistical nightmare that's hard to imagine without the aid of advanced machinery. Another question that arises is why these boxes were created with such precise, smooth inner surfaces. The interiors are so polished that they still reflect light today, creating a glassy effect on the granite surface. The level of attention to detail required for this kind of finishing work would have demanded exceptional skill, time, and effort. But why? For a bull's final resting place, would such refined, mirror-like interiors have been necessary? These finishing touches seem like overkill if their only purpose was to serve as a sarcophagus for sacred bulls. This has led some to speculate that the boxes might have served a function we have yet to understand, one that required airtight interiors, smooth walls, or specific geometrical conditions. Then there are the boxes' near-perfect measurements and their precision-crafted 90-degree angles. The consistency and exactness observed across all 24 boxes raise the question of whether the Egyptians had developed tools or techniques far beyond what we credit them with today. In most Egyptian artifacts, even those from the most skilled periods, slight imperfections in symmetry or finish are expected and even appreciated. But in the Serapeum, the workmanship is so flawless that it seems almost industrial. Did the Egyptians possess tools or knowledge that allowed them to create these angles and measurements with this accuracy? Or was something else involved, perhaps something not of this earth? Beyond the physical qualities of the boxes, the Serapeum's very location adds another element of mystery. Why build an entire underground necropolis to house these boxes? The Egyptians certainly built many impressive structures above ground, where they would have been far easier to access, maintain, and observe. The decision to create an extensive network of tunnels, with chambers just wide enough to accommodate these massive granite boxes, seems odd and impractical. This choice has fueled speculation that the location itself held a particular significance. Could it have been an attempt to protect the boxes or what they might have contained from outside forces? Or perhaps the site had a unique spiritual or energetic property that the Egyptians wanted to harness? Most shocking of all, newly uncovered evidence points to the possibility that the boxes were never meant to house anything earthly at all. Every detail of the Serapeum boxes, their perfect angles, immense size, and hidden location, feels deliberate, as if guarding a secret we're not meant to uncover. These massive stones challenge everything we know about ancient Egypt's skills and ambitions. Were they truly meant for sacred bulls, or do they guard a secret that could rewrite history? Now, a shocking discovery inside the Serapeum has turned speculation into something far more profound, and it's time to uncover the truth. Recent developments and shocking discoveries. Beneath the sands of Saqqara, a groundbreaking revelation has emerged that could redefine everything we think we know about the Serapeum granite boxes. Recent efforts to stabilize and study the ancient necropolis have revealed extraordinary insights, and the implications are staggering. High-tech materials are now being used to preserve these underground tunnels, but what's even more astonishing is the discovery of additional artifacts nearby. Artifacts that may hold clues about the origins of the Serapeum itself. Could these revelations finally solve the mystery of why these enormous granite boxes were built? Or are we only glimpsing the edge of a far more profound and unsettling truth? Could their true purpose be something we are not yet ready or able to comprehend? The stabilization efforts themselves are a marvel of modern engineering. Over the years, the Serapeum's labyrinthine tunnels have faced significant degradation, threatening to erase this historical wonder. In response, archaeologists and engineers have turned to advanced composite materials, such as fiber-reinforced polymers, to reinforce the aging rock-cut structures. These materials, often used in aerospace and high-performance construction, provide immense strength without compromising the site's ancient integrity. The goal is clear: preserve the Serapeum for future generations while ensuring that its secrets remain accessible for ongoing study. But as scientists work to safeguard the structure, their efforts have inadvertently unearthed new findings, drawing attention back to this already mysterious site. Recent excavations in the broader Saqqara necropolis have revealed tombs, artifacts, and burial sites dating back over 4,000 years, predating the Serapeum itself. In January 2024, a joint Egyptian-Japanese mission unearthed a rock-cut tomb dating back over 4,000 years. Among the artifacts found in the tomb were the remains of an adult adorned with a colored mask, a small child, and two terracotta statues depicting the deities Isis and Harpocrates. These items hint at a complex cultural and religious history surrounding the site, suggesting that Saqqara may have served as a sacred center for thousands of years before the Serapeum's construction. Adding to the intrigue, some researchers have proposed controversial theories regarding the true purpose of the Serapeum's granite boxes. Russian researcher Kosmin Borisov suggests that the Serapeum granite boxes may not have been mere sarcophagi for sacred bulls, as traditionally believed. Instead, he believes they may have functioned as airtight chambers or even ancient batteries. Borisov's hypothesis suggests that the high quartz content in the granite could generate an electric charge when subjected to mechanical stress, potentially causing the boxes to emit a glow. This theory implies that the ancient Egyptians possessed advanced scientific knowledge, utilizing these boxes for purposes beyond mere funerary practices, perhaps to harness or store energy in some way. Borisov's theory suggests that when the boxes were sealed, the resulting pressure could have produced an electrical effect, potentially ionizing the air around them. Could the Serapeum have been part of a forgotten experiment, or even an ancient power system? Of course, mainstream archaeologists are quick to dismiss these ideas as speculation unsupported by hard evidence. Yet the unique characteristics of the granite boxes continue to defy simple explanations. During the stabilization process, engineers found that some of the boxes were placed with such precision that they are perfectly aligned within their notches, despite the narrow and uneven tunnels. This level of accuracy would be difficult to achieve even today, let alone thousands of years ago. Moreover, the interiors of the boxes, polished to a mirror-like finish, suggest a level of craftsmanship far beyond what is typically associated with funerary practices. Why would the Egyptians go to such lengths for animal burials, especially when other Apis bulls were interred in far simpler wooden sarcophagi? Recent excavations have also revealed tantalizing clues that deepen the mystery. In the outer corridors of the Serapeum, researchers discovered fragments of tools and residue that hint at the methods used to construct the site. Chemical analysis of some residues suggests the possibility of ancient compounds used in stoneworking, perhaps an abrasive solution or chemical polish that contributed to the box's reflective surfaces. If true, this would indicate an advanced understanding of materials science, far ahead of what has been documented for that period. Even more intriguing is the evidence of unfinished work. Some of the granite boxes remain incomplete, with rough surfaces or partially hollowed interiors. One box, abandoned in the middle of a tunnel, lacks a lid and appears to have been left in haste. These signs of incomplete work raise yet another set of questions. Was the Serapeum never fully finished? If so, what interrupted its construction? Could it have been a sudden societal collapse, or was the site repurposed by later civilizations, leaving these boxes as remnants of a forgotten era? As researchers dig deeper, both literally and figuratively, into the mysteries of the Serapeum, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. This site holds secrets that extend far beyond its granite boxes. Alternative theories. A lost civilization? The Serapeum. Granite boxes defy explanation, but what if their true story lies far beyond the limits of what we currently believe about human history? Could they be the work of a lost civilization with technology so advanced that it rivals or even surpasses our own? One of the most well-known proponents of the lost civilization theory is Graham Hancock. Hancock argues that humanity's history is far older and more complex than traditional archaeology suggests. According to his research, the granite boxes, along with other ancient megalithic structures, may have been inherited by later civilizations rather than created by them. Hancock suggests that an advanced society, capable of incredible feats of engineering, was destroyed thousands of years ago, perhaps by a great flood or another catastrophic event. The survivors of this disaster could have passed fragments of their knowledge to early human societies, seeding myths, technologies, and the occasional mysterious artifact like the Serapeum boxes. The evidence often cited for this theory includes anomalies found not just at the Serapeum, but across ancient sites worldwide. For example, drill marks and saw cuts in granite artifacts from Egypt suggest tools capable of cutting through stone with incredible speed and precision. These marks bear striking similarities to those made by modern rotary drills and high-speed saws, yet such tools are not thought to have existed in ancient times. Spiral grooves in certain cylindrical artifacts, such as those near the Great Pyramid of Giza, indicate rotational cutting techniques that align with high-speed machinery, not copper tools and manual labor. The Serapeum boxes themselves provide further fuel for this theory. The precision of their geometry is unmatched, with measurements so accurate that they deviate by no more than a fraction of a millimeter. Their interiors are polished to a glassy finish, a feat that would have required not only immense skill, but also tools capable of achieving such smoothness. And then there's the sheer scale of the endeavor, sourcing 200-ton granite blocks from quarries hundreds of miles away, transporting them, carving them, and then lowering them into underground chambers with little room for error. Many believe that only a pre-cataclysmic civilization could have possessed the machinery and knowledge to accomplish this. On the other hand, mainstream archaeologists argue otherwise. They assert that the evidence for advanced machinery is overstated and that the anomalies can be explained by simpler means. For instance, the drill marks and spiral grooves could result from the use of abrasives like quartz sand, combined with manual labor over extended periods. Similarly, the polished interiors of the granite boxes might have been achieved through laborious hand-finishing techniques using finer abrasives. These explanations, while plausible, fail to address the larger question of why such extraordinary effort was expended, especially if the boxes were merely intended as sarcophagi for bulls. The skepticism extends to the lost civilization theory itself. Mainstream historians point out that there is no direct evidence, no tools, no written records, no definitive artifacts that clearly indicate the existence of such an advanced society. Yet the theory remains popular for a reason. It resonates with a broader human curiosity about our origins and a sense that history might hold secrets far beyond what we currently understand. The idea of a lost civilization taps into deep cultural narratives shared across societies, from the biblical flood to Atlantis. These stories often hint at advanced knowledge that was lost due to hubris, disaster, or both. The Serapeum boxes, with their inexplicable craftsmanship, fit neatly into this narrative, acting as tantalizing artifacts that seem out of place in the timeline we've constructed for human history. Even within the lost civilization framework, the Serapeum's purpose remains unclear. Were the granite boxes part of a technological system? Some theorists suggest they might have been energy storage units, pressure chambers, or even components of a larger network designed for purposes we can only speculate about. Others propose more symbolic uses, arguing that the precision and durability of the boxes reflect an intent to preserve something of immense importance, perhaps even knowledge or relics from the lost civilization itself. Anomalies and inscriptions, a timeline mystery. The ancient Egyptians created a masterpiece of engineering, with craftsmanship so precise that even modern tools would struggle to replicate it. And yet, scratched haphazardly onto its flawless surface are crude, uneven hieroglyphs, marks that look like they were made in a hurry by someone with far less skill than the box's original creator. Does this sound like the work of the same civilization? This glaring inconsistency is one of the most perplexing anomalies of the Serapeum granite boxes and raises fundamental questions about their origins, purpose, and even their timeline. The inscriptions on some of the granite boxes are crude, amateurish, and almost haphazard when compared to the extraordinary skill involved in making the boxes themselves. These markings lack the polish, symmetry, and care associated with traditional Egyptian hieroglyphs. Instead, they appear as rough scratches, often out of alignment and seemingly rushed. The discrepancy is so striking that some researchers have questioned whether the creators of the inscriptions were the same people who engineered the boxes. Traditional Egyptologists have long relied on these inscriptions to date the Serapeum and its boxes. Based on the hieroglyphs, the boxes are typically placed within the 26th dynasty, approximately 600 years before the Common Era. However, this method of dating raises significant issues. If the inscriptions were added after the boxes were built, as their crude quality suggests, then the hieroglyphs tell us nothing about the actual construction of the boxes. Instead, they might only reflect the time when these magnificent artifacts were repurposed or reused by later Egyptians. This possibility has profound implications. If the inscriptions do not match the original creation of the boxes, then how old are these artifacts? Could they predate not just the 26th dynasty, but the entire Egyptian civilization as we know it? Some researchers argue that the precision and scale of the boxes hint at a much earlier origin, possibly by a now lost culture or civilization with incredibly advanced knowledge of engineering and mathematics. If true, this would mean that the Egyptians inherited the Serapeum and its boxes, incorporating them into their own religious and cultural practices without fully understanding their original purpose. The lack of inscriptions on many of the boxes further fuels this theory. While a few of the boxes bear crude hieroglyphs, the majority are blank. This is highly unusual for ancient Egyptian artifacts, especially ones associated with religious or funerary practices. Egyptians were meticulous record keepers, often adorning their sarcophagi, tombs, and temples with detailed inscriptions meant to guide the soul in the afterlife or honor the gods. The absence of such markings on most of the boxes suggests that they may not have been intended for traditional Egyptian purposes, or that they were created in an entirely different cultural context, perhaps even by an otherworldly civilization. If the boxes predate the ancient Egyptians, how can we begin to determine their age? Radiocarbon dating, the most common method for determining the age of ancient artifacts, cannot be applied here because it relies on organic material, and the granite of the Serapeum boxes contains none. Researchers must instead rely on indirect methods such as analyzing the geological context of the site or comparing the box's craftsmanship to other artifacts of known age. However, these methods have limitations and often yield inconclusive results, leaving the timeline of the Serapeum shrouded in uncertainty. This timeline mystery has led to alternative theories that suggest the involvement of multiple cultures or time periods in the creation and modification of the Serapeum. One theory posits that an earlier, more advanced civilization constructed the boxes long before the rise of ancient Egypt. These boxes may have served an entirely different purpose, perhaps technological, ceremonial, or even scientific, before being abandoned or lost to history. When the Egyptians discovered them, they repurposed the boxes as sarcophagi for the Apis bulls, adding their own inscriptions to integrate the artifacts into their religious framework. Another theory suggests that the boxes were a collaborative effort constructed over multiple generations or by different groups with varying levels of skill. This could explain the stark contrast between the precise craftsmanship of the boxes and the rough quality of the inscriptions. However, this idea raises its own questions. If the boxes were created in stages, why does the geometric perfection remain consistent across all of them? And why would later craftsmen working with such advanced artifacts add inscriptions that seem so crude and out of place? Adding to the enigma is the lack of context for the inscriptions themselves. The hieroglyphs, though poorly executed, often reference the Apis bulls and other elements of Egyptian religion, yet their content is oddly limited, with little to no information about the construction or purpose of the boxes. It's almost as if the scribes who added the markings didn't fully understand the significance of the artifacts they were working with. This has led some to speculate that the inscriptions were not made by the original creators, but by a later group attempting to claim or reframe the boxes for their own use. The possibility that the Serapeum granite boxes are relics of a lost era challenges our understanding of ancient history. If these artifacts were inherited by the Egyptians, they might represent a glimpse into a forgotten chapter of human civilization, one with the tools, knowledge, and ambition to create objects of unparalleled precision. The crude inscriptions, then, would be not a clue to their origin, but a reminder of how little we know about their true creators. Still, the Serapeum boxes, with their flawless construction and puzzling markings, remain one of the great unresolved mysteries of the ancient world. The construction mystery. How were these boxes made? Imagine trying to move a single stone weighing up to 200 tons across hundreds of miles without trucks, cranes, or modern tools. Now imagine shaping that stone into a box with perfect 90-degree corners, smooth inner walls polished to a mirror-like finish, and a level of geometric precision that modern equipment would struggle to replicate. How could ancient Egyptians, armed with nothing more than copper tools and sheer manpower, achieve such a feat? This is the staggering mystery of the Serapeum granite boxes, one that continues to baffle engineers, archaeologists, and historians alike. The logistical challenges alone are almost incomprehensible. The granite used for these boxes was quarried primarily from Aswan, located over 500 miles south of Saqqara. In some cases, the stone may have come from even farther, deep in Egypt's eastern deserts, distances spanning up to 800 miles. Transporting blocks of granite weighing more than 200 tons through these distances over mountainous terrain and across rivers seems like an impossible task without modern machinery. Traditional theories suggest the use of sledges and wooden rollers, with teams of laborers pouring water or oil on sand to reduce friction. But consider the sheer weight involved. One block could crush any wooden sledge beneath it, let alone the effort required to pull it. And yet, somehow, these stones made their way to Saqqara. Even more puzzling is what happened once they arrived. These blocks weren't left as raw stone. They were meticulously shaped into rectangular boxes with near-perfect geometry. The interior walls were hollowed out, their thickness maintained with incredible uniformity. Some have suggested that simple tools like chisels and stone pounders were used to carve the granite. But granite is one of the hardest materials on Earth, composed primarily of quartz and feldspar. Copper, the strongest metal widely available to the ancient Egyptians, is far too soft to make much of an impact on such a hard stone. Modern experts working with granite typically use diamond-tipped tools or heavy machinery to achieve even rough shaping. How could a civilization 3,000 years ago create these boxes with such smooth surfaces and razor-sharp angles without access to these technologies? Some researchers propose that the Egyptians relied on abrasive techniques, using sand or other materials to grind down the granite over time. While technically plausible, this method would have been excruciatingly slow and labor-intensive, requiring immense patience and precision to achieve the flawless results seen in the Serapeum boxes. The boxes' interiors, polished to a reflective sheen, present another layer of mystery. How did the ancient craftsmen achieve such a finish? Modern polishing methods involve mechanical buffers and chemical treatments, neither of which were available in ancient Egypt. It's as if they possessed a lost technique or a level of determination beyond anything we can imagine. The challenges didn't end with the carving. Once completed, these massive boxes had to be transported underground into the Serapeum's narrow tunnels. These tunnels were barely wider than the boxes themselves, leaving almost no room for workers to maneuver. How were these colossal objects moved and placed with such precision in such confined spaces? The lids of the boxes, some weighing nearly 30 tons, were then positioned on top with remarkable accuracy. Modern engineers speculate that such operations would require hydraulic cranes or other advanced machinery. Without these, how did the ancient Egyptians accomplish this task? Faced with these daunting questions, some experts have turned to alternative explanations. One theory suggests that the Egyptians had developed more advanced tools and techniques than we give them credit for. Could they have used materials harder than copper, such as alloys of iron or even early forms of steel that have since been lost to history? There is scant evidence to support this idea, but it's not entirely out of the question. Others have suggested that the Egyptians employed innovative stone carving methods, possibly involving heat or chemical treatments to weaken the granite before carving. Traces of a mysterious residue found on some of the boxes hint at the possibility of a lost chemical technique. More speculative theories venture into the realm of ancient high technology. Some researchers propose that diamond-tipped tools or machinery powered by unknown means may have been used to shape the boxes. This idea is often dismissed by mainstream archaeologists, as there is no physical evidence of such tools in the archaeological record. However, proponents of this theory point to the precision of the boxes as indirect evidence, arguing that such craftsmanship could not have been achieved with primitive methods. Another angle to consider is the extraordinary effort required to quarry, transport, carve, and position these boxes. Why would the Egyptians, or any civilization, invest so much time and resources into creating these structures? If they were intended solely as sarcophagi for Apis bulls, why such precise geometry and over-engineering? And why use granite, one of the hardest and heaviest materials available, instead of a softer stone like limestone? Granite's non-porous nature and its ability to withstand immense pressure suggest that the material choice may have been driven by a need for durability or specific functional properties rather than mere aesthetics. Every aspect of the Serapeum granite boxes defies easy explanation, from their construction to their purpose. Traditional methods seem inadequate to account for the precision and scale of these artifacts, while alternative theories raise as many questions as they answer. Could these boxes be evidence of knowledge and techniques that ancient civilizations should not have had? If so, what happened to that knowledge? Was it deliberately erased, lost to time, or perhaps hidden from us for reasons we cannot yet understand? The true story of these boxes might be far stranger and darker than we ever imagined. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the next video for more exciting content.